Welcome to another enlightening episode of the Build Insite Podcast. This time, we're diving deep into the intersections of business operations, well-being, and productivity, extracting valuable insights from the Build Insite team. Tune in as the BI team navigate us through the holistic approach for optimizing every facet of a business, drawing from their wealth and earned wisdom and hands-on experience. This is the go-to episode for construction business owners striving for operational efficiency while creating a nurturing environment for productivity and growth.
It's something I really struggle with, I think, is to switch off. Like, even though you could try and put your phone away in the corner and that's the thing, but mentally, how do you boys actually switch off from work? Like, is there a
Good
secret
question.
Yeah, I actually got taught a tool not too long ago, and I think it's self-hypnosis. And I make no secrets that I'll make sure I get to a psychologist for just a general tune-up and everything and so forth. So I did that earlier in the year, and the lady actually said, I could tell you're a super busy person. Have you ever tried this? She gave me the exercise, and it's basically like you just say, find a space by yourself, find some, even if you've got your shoes off, feet with your grass, whatever it might be, and it's just literally saying 5 things you can see, 5 things you can hear, 5 things you can feel, and you can repeat it if you like. But it's amazing those little things. Having a really busy mind, my mind doesn't really switch off unless I absolutely force it to. And to be honest, one of the things the only thing it does is I might watch a TV show for an hour some nights and stuff, and just that way it's mind numbing. But I found this exercise amazing because it's just actually how incredible it works. You've basically said 15 things, but you've really just, your mind stopped and it's just thinking about those few steps. So I found that powerful.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, the breathing as well is a big one that I do it daily. Like, I don't even realize if I'm driving and someone cuts me off in traffic, and I don't anymore, actually. I'm probably going to revert back to a couple of years ago where that might trigger me a little bit. And I'd be like, oh, they've just cut me off. Didn't they see me? My partner would actually give them the bird. But I would just do 4 deep breaths. So, I would breathe in to count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. And then breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do that three times. Yep. And that is amazing how much of an impact that can have on just resetting your mind. Hey, if you need to do it a few more times, that's great. And I think that's pretty common. I've heard that from all different parts of the world, so to speak, from government to positions to us and construction industry. Like, it's something that's definitely rolled out throughout. Another one that OUTLIER, who was with us at OUTLIER, she told me that her partner, who's an emergency responder, he would actually, they had, say, mint or rosemary or some sort of shrub at the front, just out the front, that he would go past, and they were told to grab that, just, give it the rub, to just then smell it. And just something that just, was a trigger to reset and just have that ability to go, oh, that's my change of mind. I'm inside now. And, like some of those people in those positions, they're dealing with some pretty horrific things at times.
Definitely, yeah.
And for them to be able to come in home and just be like, I'm in family time now. It's incredible. Yeah. So something to be learned from that, I'm sure, for us.
It's funny you say that because we just did, Darren, myself and Luke were up at the Gold Coast for Live Life Build live weekend, maybe 6 weeks ago or something. We're doing breath work on the beach in the morning, and it actually turns out I had a sinus infection. So I was struggling with the breath work side of things. But it was still pretty peaceful, and, you've got the sun coming up and you can hear the waves. Next minute, I noticed like a bit of a smell, and it was the burning sage that was coming around. And, I've never actually been into any of that sort of stuff before, but the sage actually, like, straight away I could breathe for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, thought just keep that coming over here.
You say it was really cool and peaceful up there. It probably was for you, but everyone else could just hear you go.
Yeah. Snoring, staying asleep.
Yeah. So for anyone listening that has had their partner go, you're on your phone, get off your phone. Maybe, there's a few takeaways there that might help you. Because I know that was me.
Just to interrupt the host as well, just to go back a step, Anthony, like, obviously us as builders have just spoken about what we use for some of our systems, communications, but you, unique, being a designer of the group, what are some things you do with OUTLIER? Because that's something that I know from our side of things, we get maybe flicked a Dropbox folder from a lot of designers, and then that's the end. It's up to us. But your processes and systems are a lot more unique with your collaboration with all of us builders.
They are, yes. Because for us, even if we're not actively engaged by the client to go beyond that handover from pre-construction to construction, we often find ourselves still working hand in hand with the build team during that construction process. So for us, that's just from anything from being on site to provide the testing aspects, the blower dooring or thermography or whatever it be, right through to just collaborating using 3D modeling. So that's becoming very apparent now, and I'm sure some people listening have seen some of this across our socials, but it's getting to that point now. I can't remember if it was Sean or someone that quoted as saying, or paraphrase him at least, that you're building it twice. You've got to model this up in the software, and then it gets built again on site. So it's getting to that point where the detail's there, and we're quite big on that. The more information that we can provide, the better. Lots of conversations, as you all know. I've spoken with you all on the phone thousands of times. So I think just being able to provide that further documentation in other ways, like not looking at it from a traditional perspective, but more innovative and trying to keep a finger on the pulse, so to speak, with what is available from a technology perspective for us to be able to provide that. I'm not sure, like circling back, like what ultimately assists with all of that. Well, it's things behind the scenes too from us. We're scheduling. There's weekly schedules. Otherwise, you kind of find yourself, if you ever found yourself busy, but not really achieving much, like you just, I'm so busy and I've got so much work, but you never really seem to be able to get ahead of it. If you are feeling that way, maybe ask yourself why. And then, that's where I think you mentioned, Dean, like scheduling for the week helps a lot. Put it out, put actionable tasks Monday to Friday all the way through. Some of them can be repeatable, like exercise or meditation. It really helps. And then, one of the greatest things that I ever absorbed information-wise early on was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there's a scenario, a document, so I'm trying to say what the right thing is here, but basically a quadrant, and it's outlines where you should be locating your task and your time. And I encourage everyone to go check that out as well. Yeah,
I think we've actually, through our talking about Slack, we've got our Build Insite Slack with all the groups, and it was actually it's fantastic that we've got that tool as well. But we actually dived into a bit more of the scheduling with Sean, Daz, Luke, myself, Dave, especially from the builder side of things. Because Dave, you're I look at your scheduling and I love it. I find for myself with my scheduling, simplicity works for me, because otherwise I know day to day when it's really busy, it's got to be efficient, it's got to work. And there's times if I try and bunch too many things into like my day to day schedule just for myself for the week, you'll get to the point where something might go over, and then all of a sudden you're jam packed. It's like, I've actually tried to fit this in, and I've missed that because the meeting went too late. So I know for me, working with OUTLIER and Backman, it's great to see like the OUTLIER scheduling, because you might give us a 4-week window to say, all right, in 4 weeks, I'm going to have like a prelim set of drawings due. So for Darren and myself, and I suppose this is where the collaboration is really powerful. Might be times where we're running businesses, so we need something to know we're going to hit a contract of a project, and we want to hit that start frame. But for you as designers as well, you've got stages of payments that you've got to hit to keep your business moving. So Absolutely. we have those conversations to say, mate, is there anything we can do for you guys, so that we're not delaying you from reaching a goal?
Because this is one of the realities of the situation. In working in this collaborative way from our side of the fence, it's not like the person, I'm just going to, sorry, drafts people, I am one myself, but I'm going to pick on us. It's, rather than just punching out a set of drawings or a concept and then going, there you go, there's your concept, invoice. There you go, there's your construction drawings, invoice. And the cash flow's there. When you do work collaboratively, there are time delays, and you've got to be really aware of them. So it may be that when that feasibility costings is being prepared, and you guys have got a couple of trades who are dragging that chain, and we kind of been relying on that cash flow to come in, well, it's not there if that does get pushed out. So then we've got to try to be finger on the pulse again and be able to cycle something into that schedule that is allowing us to continue that cash flow. Sorry, David, why was I staring at you? Not at all. He's actually an amazing operator, and we have these conversations all the time about, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, how you trekking? And then we know, and it's easy. Communication makes it easy.
But it's such an important thing because there's no doubt this is a massive thing for builders, especially, and all businesses. That it's something Darren and myself had a conversation with our lead carpenter with on Friday, just to say this is the plan of attack for the next few weeks. We've got 3 projects all moving along, but we've almost the last month needed to tactically go. We need almost like the hit squad on this to hit that goal, that to hit that goal, so that then we can hit this, and they're the stages. But I've said in the first episode that we did on the podcast that Darren and myself feel lucky we've got each other to bounce off. There's no doubt a lot of builders out there that feel like they're going through this alone, and I suppose all we can say is it's not the case. There would not be a builder or a business out there that doesn't have cash flow tricky situations. And they're probably the times where you need to make sure, I don't know for myself, guys, where you need to double down on your well-being and have those conversations, or go have a coffee with your team, or go catch up with some mates for a beer or a date night with the missus. Otherwise, you can just go into a deeper hole. It'd be interesting, like Lukey, to hear your thoughts on that too, mate.
Yeah, I might actually add to that as well. I think I'd love to hear like anything that you've been able to correlate between these implementations you've spoken about, Luke, into your and what the results that have been in your business. I think that'd be great to hear from everyone on that as well.
Good couple of questions thrown straight at me there.
You're welcome.
I guess I'll back up just a little bit, I suppose, to answer Dean's question about, like, you two have obviously got each other, like Dean and Daz, you've got each other to sort of bounce things off. Yeah, it is a little bit different, I suppose, when you're on your own. I guess platforms like, and I mean, not everyone's in these, but platforms like Live Life Build, having the community of builders that are all trying to achieve the same thing, actually been able to like network and reach out to other guys, even though they're not a part of your business. Everyone's going through the same shit. And it seems to be that you don't know until you ask, that everyone is actually quite open to share. And I guess if you get pushback from someone and they're kind of ignoring you, well, they're not meant to be in your circle. So maybe start looking elsewhere. I got lucky a little bit, I suppose, I've always had a couple of older builders that kind of mentored me a little bit along the way. We used to do a lot of contract carpentry for these guys and develop some really good relationships with them. So it's always sort of been that, always had the offer there of, if you don't know, ask. They kind of feel that if they can pass on some of the knowledge that they've learnt, that's kind of leveling up the industry a little bit. So I always say that to upcoming guys as well. I've had a couple of carpenters that have worked for me in the past that have recently gone out on their own and just feel, I guess, satisfaction and achievement from actually being able to pass on what you've learnt to try and progress someone else's business. I think that answers one of the questions. What was the second question?
I think I would like to hear how, by all these things we're talking about that we've implemented into our own businesses, like maybe some of the outcomes that you've seen in your actual business by doing this. Is there an example or a story that you might want to share where you've actually seen the real positive change in your business from implementing these things?
This is very, very timely, actually. So at the moment of this recording, so Live Life Build has developed their own award system at the moment, and the cutoff day is today for the final entries of the awards. One of the awards that I'm trying to enter, a criteria for it was you had to get a form filled out by 3 people, actually, as the category for it is leadership. I sent off the form to our current admin / upcoming project manager that we've got at the moment, for her to fill out. And some of the feedback that I got this morning, basically for how I've progressed myself in the past 6 months of sort of being a micromanager, having kind of the direction that I knew that I wanted to go and all the stuff that I wanted to implement, but it was all stuck in my head. Now that I've actually communicated that amongst the rest of the team, how everything has progressed and the stuff that we've got coming up, like the exciting systems and the projects that we've got coming up, and how I can sort of step away a little bit and work on other things. It was very rewarding to hear that from someone else, as well as I swear I'm not making this up. I actually got a text message on Friday night as well from our lead Chippy. He's only been on board for a couple of weeks, but just showing him straight away like the team culture that we have and giving them the flexibility to make these open suggestions and put their ideas forward. The message I got Friday night, basically thanking for, I guess, the opportunity for how he came across our business and making it a really enjoyable atmosphere to go to work every day, and gives that drive to actually want to be able to achieve the best for themselves as well as our business. So yeah, I'm feeling very humble at the moment.
That's awesome,
That's
mate.
good,
Good
mate.
work, mate. Champion.
Yeah, well done.
Not surprised, buddy. You're a gem of a person, mate. So it's
Thanks, mate.
You've hey Lukey, you've come, mate. I remember, I think I even said to you first time I met you face to face in Kingscliff, I think you might have said, mate, like, I'm just like, you look like a really defeated person, because you're just like, mate, I'm just really struggling with everything with business. And then, mate, seeing you 12 months later in your nice boots and your nice jeans, and just, mate, like, I'm not saying you weren't doing well, but, mate,
Beard manicured perfectly.
from where you've come in 12 months, mate, it's pretty incredible. Because I remember you opened up a bit in Kingscliff, and you just, I'm really struggling with work and cash flow, all that sort of stuff. And then now you're landing jobs at a bloody, I'm not going to put a price on it, but a good amount, which is awesome for you, mate. So it's
I'm keen to elaborate on that, actually, because if this story helps anyone, so basically what Daz is referring to, go back 12 months ago, the start of last year. Well, it's actually a little bit more than that. So over the Christmas break, we went away for a couple of weeks. We had basically almost the third week of our holiday to go, and I reckon we're probably about maybe five or 6 days away from actually being home. And it just got to the point I was so overwhelmed with everything that's going on with work and in my head. We'd recently lost another big project, and there was another one that was on the rocks that only about 2 weeks later it actually did fold as well. I couldn't put up with the pressure of it being away anymore. So we actually cut the holiday short and went home. And I was like seriously contemplating, I'm like, how do I now go and tell my staff that I'm going to wind up the business? Like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, I'm struggling that much that it was like you just couldn't see the value in wanting to do it anymore. I suppose talking to the right people, going to Kingscliff and catching up with all of you guys, it couldn't have come at a better time to have that, I guess, share the story and get some input back from everybody else, as well as probably one of the biggest people I've got to thank for it would be Aaron Apples. His mindset coaching on, I guess, trying to block out the noise, focus on what you really need to do to be able to progress to the next level. It was, so I don't know, long story short, all I guess I can say is stick to what you believe in. There's always a way to try and get out of the scenario that you're in. Like, just don't ever let it defeat you. Talk to people, ask questions, and just give it your best shot.
For anyone who's listening, Luke, can they reach out to you if they're feeling that way right now and have that chat?
Absolutely. So I'll give myself a little plug here, I suppose. Instagram's probably the easiest way to find me if you don't have my phone number. I'm not going to put my phone number out there, but at Lukey Calorie on Instagram, feel free to message me personally. Otherwise, Calorie Building on Instagram, send us a message. You're not alone. And if you don't share your story, it's just going to keep building up in your head. So by all means, please reach out.
Up that, mate. And I think,
mate,
just to double down on what you said, we as a collective are here doing Build Insight because we just don't want to do it for shits and giggles or look like we're getting likes. We're legitimately here to help others. So build.insight as well. You can always get in touch through Instagram, and any one of us will be happy to have a chat with people as well. So, and we've got our man Apple's coming up on a podcast in weeks to come. So yeah, that'll be a great one.
I think that, that was a really emotional story to share too, Luke. And it's something that everyone here sitting here today has experienced as well. I'll just reinstate it again. Like, please, anyone who's feeling that there's no outcome that they can foresee or anything, or they feel stuck or trapped, you're not. And all you got to do is just message, just send a DM on socials to any of us. We can help you talk to, through your problems. And if that's all you need is for someone to listen, we're here.
Absolutely.
And I know there's lots of others out there who share that same thought as well. And we'll be talking to those in upcoming episodes and what they're doing to assist and help and make impact on this industry in a positive way. I think we've spoken plenty on little, like, I mean, there's so much more we can talk about. I feel like we've, again, just scratched the surface on the things that we're implementing and doing in our businesses and in our personal lives, and to ensure that we're providing, well-being for ourselves and our families and excelling in business. I think it might be nice to just kind of circle back and talk about those who are beginning their journeys and maybe provide some practices towards how they might, if you were going to start out again, if you were going to start from square one again, what would you do? I think, Luke, it might be a good timing for you to take the lead on that one as well.
Part of me wanted to joke and say, don't do it, it's a trap.
Don't worry. I think every single person here can raise their hand and say that at least on more than one occasion they've thought about folding the business as well.
Yeah,
definitely, 100%.
Yeah, and walking away. It's quite challenging to make all this work. It shouldn't be. Doesn't small business sound like fun? It's quaint. Easy. We'll just dive on in here. We'll make bunches of money. People will love us. We'll tick all those ego goals that we've been setting ourselves, and subconsciously most of the time too. And, we'll walk away happy days, retired at 40. Kids are blue-eyed and smiley and brushy tail. It's not the case. And it is hard, and you will need to work for it. So I think, the honest truth of what you would do tomorrow if you started out again, or if you were starting up for the first time.
I would definitely, one of the most valuable things, and again, without trying to sound like I'm a business advertisement at the moment, but joining Live Life Build has genuinely changed my life. Whether it's Live Life Build, I know there's a lot of other coaching platforms out there as well, but invest in some coaching. And the best thing you can do with that is actually spend the time in actually implementing what you're learning. I guess there's a few, I'll use Live Life Build as the example. There's a few members that I guess they sort of feel that they've signed up to the platform and they feel like they've, oh, awesome, I've signed up, this is going to change my life, but they don't actually schedule aside the time to actually make any difference. They kind of just get that rewarding sense that they've signed up and that's solved all the problems. So
they're investing, but they're not invested.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So I guess, definitely some sort of coaching.
Yep.
What you're taught in your trade is definitely like very, very limited. You're not taught how to run a business.
Far from it. I'm yet to go through. I've been through all levels of education, from tertiary through to certs, diplomas, the whole works, and not once have I ever been told how to run a business. And I studied a Bachelor of Business. What would you say to someone when they're met with a challenge then, like to overcome it then, Luke? Like if you were faced with something tomorrow that was pretty significant, what would you do to be able to deal with that challenge?
Take time to think about it. Don't be reactive. Like actually just think about it for a little while, assess what the challenge may be, ask for help, and I guess just weigh up a couple of options rather than just, if something pops up straight away, rather than confronting it straight away and it just turned into more of a shit show. Just evaluate what it is, ask for help if you don't know how to get out of it yourself. Anyone else want to add to that?
No, that's great. I'm actually going to pass on to the team backman. And if you had to start again tomorrow, what would you do? Like how would you approach it? And what's some advice?
Look, we started when we were pretty young, Anthony, like we mentioned. But look, like Luke said, look, having some sort of coaching platform and that, I think is a really good idea too. But there's a few guys out. Like I know there's a few guys who don't have their registrations yet, and want to get that sort of mentoring and that. But I also think it might sound a bit silly, but I also think you really need to go through making mistakes, because like you listen to anyone out there who have become really successful, you're only going to learn from your mistakes. So I mean, I couldn't sum up in like, you know, on this podcast, like, you know, what we'd change, but I just sort of think you just, when, like, and it's just human, we're all going to make mistakes. Like, we've been doing it for a while now, we still make mistakes. And it's just like, I think it's just more just, you know, just what you can do to learn from those mistakes and then to implement into your business how to not make those mistakes again, and not sort of beat yourself up too much, because it's like, yeah, we've made plenty of mistakes, you know, which have cost us money, some not so much money, but yeah, I think it's just more back yourself in and just maybe cut yourself a bit of slack, and just, you know, just sometimes just give yourself a pat on the back and go, at least I'm having a crack, you know, I'm trying my best, you know. There's a lot of guys guys, girls want to work for someone because they don't want that responsibility, but, you know, you got to put yourself out there just to try and better yourself.
That's a really good one, Daz. 100%. Don't be afraid to back yourself in.
Yeah. I think, but yeah, other than that, mate, yeah, I don't know what I'd probably change.
What about if you met with something as well tomorrow? Let's say that there's something pretty full on that happens, and, you know, what would you do? Like, what would you say to sort of navigate that?
Well, yeah, like, I'll even just say it's actually fresh. Like, we had a couple of hold-ups on one of our big jobs this morning, and sort of get a phone call at 10 to 7, and it's just more, I can do the best I can do, you know, scheduling time, everything's organised. And I can't sometimes things that are out of your control. It's just, it is what it is. And I know it's just the easy cop out, but, you know, as long as you're doing the best you can do on your behalf, you know, you can't control if you've got a trade or a subby or whatever who doesn't know how to run a business as well as, say, you do, or whatever. And it's just sort of depending if it's something, you know, that you've made the mistake on. It's just sort of it's easier said than done when you're just talking, but it's just sort of back step. Like Luke was saying, you know, ask for help, but just sort of look at it and go, what could I have done? Not beat yourself on, or why did that happen? Next time, what can I do to make sure this is not going to happen? And that's what, you know, makes you a better, you know, builder, business owner, you know, is just learning from your mistakes and just going, all right, I stuffed up. Next time I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. And you just keep learning and evolving.
Yeah. I mean, you just described growth. So it's that's how it happens. It's one foot in front of the other. I know David has a saying, like, how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah, one bite at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, David? What would you do if you were going to start tomorrow again from scratch, or if it was your first time out?
I would do things very, very, very differently. And it's probably, you could dedicate a whole podcast to it, the way I do it.
Let's do it.
But yeah, no, I really like what Daz just touched on, that, like, for me, when, you know, I started my business, that I had dreams that everything was just going to run perfectly. Every day, everything's just going to run absolutely perfectly. And, you know, like, I think, you know, the way I run my business is pretty good. Scheduling, you know, we communicate to our trades. You know, when we start the job, 2 months in advance, 1 month in advance, 2 weeks in advance, you know, a couple of days in advance to get them on site, that thing. But it just doesn't happen. Like, they got, you know, plumbers might have 20 other bills they deal with and that sort of thing. So things don't go perfect every day. As says, there's delays. So I suppose I'd just say, like, you know, be prepared that you're never going to have that day, or you might have a day where everything goes perfectly, but you're never going to have probably a full week where everything goes 100% absolutely mint. There's always going to be little hurdles that need to be, you know, leaped, and, you know, problems that need to be solved and that sort of thing. And the other thing is, I found for me, like, I just wanted it all yesterday. So like, you started a business, and I, you know, I did Live Life Build and that sort of thing, as the pack challenge and that sort of thing. And, like, I just wanted it all to happen straight away. So you need to be patient. You need to, you know, definitely invest into it and be invested into it. And yeah, just be prepared to just each day just take one bite of the elephant and, you know, do a little bit the next day. And then you do think nothing's happening, but then you know, you have a client that, you know, say I've never charged for a quote, or, you know, done the pre-construction for you. First say, oh, actually, you know, we do charge, and things do gradually start to happen, or, you know, the tradesmen are starting to get a bit better at coming on site because they know the way you systemize things and that. So yeah, there's numerous things I do different, mate, but that's the sort of overall nutshell, I think. Yeah.
Your mindset towards the timeline. That was one that significantly impacted on me as well. As soon as I shifted my mindset of like, oh, by year 5, I want X.
Yeah.
By end of this year, I want Y.
Yeah.
As soon as I just shifted my mindset, because I really had a big hang up on that. I wanted everything yesterday as well.
Yeah.
And then I shifted my mindset to be like, my life will be.
Yeah.
And it changed everything. I stopped putting timelines and sometimes, probably most of the time they're unrealistic because as you said, things happen, hurdles happen. As soon as I was like, well, for the remainder of my life, this is what I will be because I love it. Yeah. And that's when it sort of changed, I think.
And for me, I've probably discovered too, it's like a journey as well. It's not like, I think Daz or Luke said, you need to be able to make mistakes and that thing because, there's no such a mistake. It's just lessons. But like, as I said, I wanted that day that, I hit the ultimate holy grail where everything's just run perfectly. But I don't think it's ever going to come. And it's just so, if I was starting again, it's like, prepared. It's just going to be a journey.
Yeah.
It's just gradually stuff happening, stuff going slightly wrong, and that's the thing. Even though the mistakes might be less than what they were when you first started, but and try somehow to enjoy the journey of it. I think.
And I just want to clarify, like I'm not saying like don't set goals. Absolutely, set goals. This is not what we're saying.
But I suppose keep them fluid.
Yeah,
is the word.
Yes, dynamic.
Patience would have to be an art form because I know I don't have it.
Neither do I.
Very, very impatient. And what you guys have all just said is so 100% on the mark. And I was going to say, Dave, like probably the last couple of years, I've probably come to the realization that whatever goals I set, I'll keep setting new ones. So actually just to enjoy the journey is the key because we've already got, if you've got your health, and you've got your family, and you've got a business that gives you flexibility. You're obviously doing what you love.
Yeah.
So you're already so rich in that anyway. Yeah. Money's always going to come and go.
Yeah.
And most of our goals are set around money. And let's be honest, if you're not in business because of money, you're fooling yourself. That's what it's all about. The world revolves around money.
Yeah.
But patience. It's a huge one. It's definitely. Imagine if you told yourself 10 years ago, hey, biggest thing is be patient. You'd probably be like, stuff that.
I've got to grind. I've got to get stuff done.
I will say that active meditation is one of the things that allowed me to be more patient, if we'll use that word loosely. It made, if it's anyone here actually sat there by themselves for more than 30 minutes with their eyes closed?
Not very often.
Every night.
Yeah.
Even on sleep.
It's hard. It takes time. You build up to it, but it's something that will, that it does because you're actively choosing to. So I think that's a great way to round out this episode. We've touched on some fantastic discussion points today, and I think it was very heartfelt, very coming straight from an honest truth that we've all experienced, and we do mean it when we said that for those listening that feel they need to talk right now, please do reach out. David.
I'll just butt in one other thing we touched on about when you started your business, that's the thing about reaching out to coaching and that thing, and that's awesome. There's some great assets out there and that thing, but honestly believe just follow people on Instagram, like guilty plug here, but Build Insite, like definitely, because we do put a lot of content out there, but not us. There's so many different builders out there that I've got so much information off. There's just free content out there. So anyone you see on social media and that's the thing, don't have to 100% believe it, but there is some good information out there just to follow the right people to learn from and aspire to be, I suppose. Yeah,
we're definitely going to get more people on to keep that conversation going because it's a massive part of where we're at now. Like without following other people and so forth, there's things we wouldn't learn from each of you guys as well.
That's exactly right. Like the growth that I've experienced is contributed from you all here too. So that's just testament to what it does look like when you do talk to each other and collaborate and actually share the highs and the lows. And Dean, it sort of reminded me of something that we were talking about then, but take that moment to actually stop and look back and reflect on all the positives and all the good things that you've achieved and done to date, because that's what you should be doing, is ensuring that you're reflecting on these things and driving in that direction forward. I know I said it last time as well, but one of the things that I like to do at the end of the day is use the Resilience Project's journal, and 3 questions that you answer every day. Well, 3 things you must respond to every day is what was great that happened today, and you have to just quickly write down 3 things that were great that happened today. And boy, that can shift your mindset. It does for me anyway. If I've had a fairly average day or something's not quite right, I force myself to put 3 positives in front of myself before the end of the day, and it does. It really helps me.
Yep.
So, is there any other final parting words from anyone?
I think just to quickly say, mate, just to back over what we were saying before, but if you have listened to this podcast or any of the episodes and you aren't in a great position or mentally you're struggling or you've got something going on, like please feel free to jump onto Build.Insite at any time. No one's judging. We're all a sharing community.
We'll be there.
And someone will reach out and just do our bit. And the very least, if you're not following Build.Insite, you can get over there and see Lukey's incredible Ned Kelly lookalike beard. So.
Fantastic. And look, we've got upcoming guests who are experts in every single one of these topics that we've discussed today. So please stay tuned, and there'll be some more really fantastic content coming your way soon. Well, that's a wrap for the Build Insite podcast episode 3. Please, follow along and like, because we've got quite a few episodes lined up, ready to come out. We're going weekly at the moment. That's our intention. Yeah.
Yep.
And you can catch that every Monday morning. There'll be a new episode released. So stay tuned, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Let's cue the disclaimer. It's Anthony here from Build Insite, and I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insite team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insite podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience, and is of a general nature only.